There is no requirement in the National Electrical Code, specifically the 1998 or the 2002 editions, that dictates the line or hot conductor must connect to the top of a meter enclosure and the load side to the bottom. Electrical codes such as the NEC are designed to ensure safety and standardization in electrical installations. However, specific connection configurations for meter enclosures are generally not addressed within the NEC. It is important to understand the role of the NEC in electrical work. The NEC provides guidelines and regulations for safe electrical installations, including wiring methods, overcurrent protection, grounding, and equipment installation. However, the NEC often does not specify the exact physical layout or connection points within equipment like meter enclosures. These details are typically left to the equipment manufacturer and local utility companies. The primary focus of the NEC is to prevent electrical hazards such as shock, fire, and explosions. This is achieved through requirements related to conductor sizing, insulation, overcurrent protection, grounding, and bonding. The NEC outlines general requirements for electrical installations, but it does not delve into the specific connection details of every piece of equipment. This is because equipment designs and configurations can vary widely depending on the manufacturer and the intended application. Meter enclosures, which has the electrical meter that measures energy consumption, are typically installed by the utility company or a qualified electrician following the utility's guidelines. The specific connection requirements for meter enclosures are usually determined by the utility company based on their metering practices and the design of their distribution system. These requirements can vary from one utility to another. When installing a meter enclosure, it is essential to consult the equipment manufacturer's instructions and the local utility's requirements. The manufacturer's instructions will provide detailed information on the proper installation and connection of the enclosure, including the recommended wire sizes, grounding methods, and any specific mounting requirements. The local utility company will have its own set of requirements for meter enclosures, including the location of the enclosure, the type of enclosure required, and the specific connection configurations. These requirements are designed to ensure that the meter accurately measures energy consumption and that the installation is safe and reliable. In the absence of specific requirements in the NEC, the equipment manufacturer's instructions and the local utility's requirements take precedence. These documents provide the necessary guidance for ensuring a safe and compliant installation. It is also important to note that local electrical codes and regulations may have additional requirements for meter enclosures. These local codes are often based on the NEC, but they may include additional provisions that are specific to the local jurisdiction. It is always advisable to consult with the local electrical inspector or building department to determine if there are any local requirements that must be followed. To ensure compliance with all applicable codes and regulations, it is recommended to follow a systematic approach to meter enclosure installation. Firstly, review the equipment manufacturer's instructions to understand the specific requirements for the enclosure. This includes the recommended wire sizes, grounding methods, and any specific mounting requirements. Secondly, contact the local utility company to obtain their requirements for meter enclosures. This includes the location of the enclosure, the type of enclosure required, and the specific connection configurations. Thirdly, consult with the local electrical inspector or building department to determine if there are any local codes or regulations that must be followed. Fourthly, install the meter enclosure in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions, the utility's requirements, and any applicable local codes. Fifthly, ensure that all wiring connections are made properly and that the enclosure is properly grounded. Sixthly, inspect the installation to verify that it meets all applicable codes and regulations. Seventhly, obtain approval from the local electrical inspector or building department before energizing the meter enclosure. Understanding the NEC and its relationship to other codes and standards is crucial for safe and compliant electrical installations. The NEC provides a comprehensive set of guidelines for electrical installations, but it is not intended to be a substitute for the manufacturer's instructions, the utility's requirements, or local codes. It is important to consult all of these resources to ensure that the installation is safe, reliable, and compliant with all applicable regulations. When working with electrical systems, safety is paramount. Always follow proper safety procedures, wear appropriate personal protective equipment, and energize circuits before working on them. If you are not qualified to perform electrical work, it is best to hire a licensed electrician. The information provided here is for general guidance only and should not be considered a substitute for professional electrical advice. Always consult with a qualified electrician or electrical engineer for specific guidance on electrical installations. It is crucial to emphasize the importance of consulting with qualified professionals and adhering to all applicable codes and regulations when working with electrical systems. The NEC is a valuable resource, but it is not a substitute for expertise and experience. In conclusion, the NEC does not specify that the line conductor must connect to the top and the load side to the bottom of a meter enclosure. The specific connection requirements are determined by the equipment manufacturer and the local utility company. Always consult with these sources and follow all applicable codes and regulations to ensure a safe and compliant installation. The 1998 and 2002 editions of the NEC do not contain any specific language mandating the line or hot conductor connection at the top of a meter enclosure and the load side at the bottom. Electrical installations are subject to various regulations, including the National Electrical Code and local utility requirements. Meter enclosures, being part of the service equipment, must comply with relevant sections of the NEC, but the exact physical arrangement is usually dictated by the utility company or the manufacturer's instructions. The NEC focuses on safety and proper installation methods such as conductor sizing, overcurrent protection, and grounding. It is essential to refer to the specific guidelines provided by the local utility, as they often have detailed requirements regarding the placement and connection of meter enclosures to ensure accurate metering and system compatibility. Therefore, while the NEC provides a framework for safe electrical installations, the specific configuration of meter enclosure connections is typically governed by the utility and the equipment's manufacturer. Understanding the relationship between the NEC, local utility requirements, and manufacturer instructions is crucial for ensuring a safe and compliant electrical installation. The absence of a specific requirement in the NEC regarding the top-bottom connection of line and load conductors in a meter enclosure highlights the importance of consulting multiple sources of information. The NEC provides a general framework for electrical safety, but it does not cover every specific installation detail. Local utility companies often have their own specific requirements for meter enclosures, which are tailored to their particular distribution systems and metering practices. These requirements may include specific connection configurations, enclosure types, and grounding methods. Equipment manufacturers also provide detailed instructions for the installation and connection of their products. These instructions are essential for ensuring that the equipment is installed correctly and operates safely. By consulting all of these resources, electricians can ensure that they are following best practices and complying with all applicable codes and regulations. This approach helps to minimize the risk of electrical hazards and ensures the long-term reliability of the electrical system. In summary, while the NEC is a valuable resource for electrical safety, it is important to remember that it is not the only source of information. Local utility requirements and manufacturer instructions should also be consulted to ensure a safe and compliant installation of meter enclosures. The electrical work requires careful attention to detail and a thorough understanding of all applicable codes and regulations. It is always best to consult with qualified professionals and to follow proper safety procedures when working with electrical systems. The information here is intended for general guidance only and should not be considered a substitute for professional electrical advice. Remember that electrical codes and regulations are constantly evolving. It's important to stay up to date on the latest changes and to consult with qualified professionals to ensure that your electrical installations are safe, compliant, and reliable. Electrical safety is everyone's responsibility. By following proper procedures and consulting with qualified professionals, we can all help to prevent electrical hazards and ensure the safety of our homes and workplaces.